My question to you is, at this point in the pandemic, knowing what we know, shouldn't you have known better? Shouldn't the White House know better than to hold an event like that?
Well, they do a lot of testing in the White House. They test everybody, including me, but they test everybody. And something happened. But as far as the mask is concerned, I'm good with masks. I'm okay with masks. I tell people wear masks. But just the other day, they came out with a statement that 85% of the people that wear masks catch it. So, you know,
they
this
didn't
is
say
a
that.
very
I know that
tricky,
study.
Well, that's what I heard, and that's what I saw. And regardless, but everybody's tested.
Oh
and
my
tested
God!
all.
You're the president. You can't say that. That's a total obfuscation.
I
It's
can't
wrong.
be. These people are the most incredible people, and they came up to me and they would hug me and they would touch me, and I'm not going to not let them do it.
Now, there was an event with the Gold Star families the day after the Supreme Court event.
A Gold Star event with the most incredible people you've ever seen, and I could have chosen not to talk to them or to keep everybody away. And you know what? And I don't think that's probably where it was caught, but maybe it was.
I was going to say, you bring it up. You brought it up yourself. I mean, are you trying to suggest that? Do you believe a grieving military family gave you COVID?
No, I don't know where it came from.
Okay.
And you don't know where it came from, and the doctors don't know where it came from.
Not bad.
But
And if you're not wearing a mask when your administration is saying best practice right now is wear a mask, no, it's not foolproof.
But many people are catching it. Many people are getting this disease that was sent to us by China, and it shouldn't have been allowed to happen. But many people are getting this.
Mask is for you not to be around, for you not to spread it to others. This is a gigantic public health problem. Masks are so you don't spread it without knowing that you have it.
So we have, our deaths per capita is among the highest among industrialists.
Excess mortality, we're a winner on the excess mortality. And what we've done has been amazing, and we have done an amazing job.
Now, 10% of the country approximately has had COVID. That means 80, 90%, 90%, let's do the math, is still vulnerable.
Right.
There's been some talk, including from the White House lately, that perhaps it approves of what's called herd immunity. That's where you basically just let young people and everybody get sick. You try to protect the old people and those who are sick, and hopefully it gets up to a certain level, and now we're all immune.
Yeah.
So let's just be clear about it. It also means more deaths. Do you support herd immunity as a strategy? Essentially,
herd
just
mentality.
let people get sick.
The cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. We did the right thing. We were expected to lose 2,200,000 people, and maybe more than that. We're at 210,000 people. One person is too much. It should have never happened because of China. It happened because of China.
That 2 million figure, though, is if you literally did nothing.
People.
The 2 million figure is if you did absolutely
This was a
nothing,
sabotage.
it would be 2 million.
They baited him in. They baited him with a town hall, and now it's a debate. Oh my God. She's doing a better job than Joe Biden.
You were asked point blank to denounce white supremacy. In the moment, you didn't. You asked some follow-up questions. Who specifically?
I denounce white supremacy.
Okay.
And frankly, you want to know something? I denounce Antifa, and I denounce these people on the left that are burning down our cities that are run by Democrats who don't know what they're doing.
While we're denouncing, let me ask you about QAnon. It is this theory that Democrats are a satanic pedophile ring and that you are the savior of that. Now, can you just once and for all state that that is completely not true and disavow QAnon in its entirety?
I know nothing about QAnon.
I just told you.
I know very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact. I hate to say that. I know nothing about it. I do know they are very much against pedophilia. They fight it very hard, but I know nothing about it.
They believe it is a
Like
satanic cult run by the deep
study
state.
The subject. I'll tell you what I do know about. I know about Antifa, and I know about the radical left, and I know how violent they are and how vicious they are. It's run by Democrats.
Republican Senator Ben Sasse said, quote, QAnon is nuts, and real leaders call conspiracy theories. Just this week, you retweeted to your 87 million followers a conspiracy theory that Joe Biden orchestrated to have SEAL Team 6, the Navy SEAL Team 6, killed to cover up the fake death of bin Laden. Now, why would you send a lie like that to your followers? You retweeted
That was a retweet. That was an opinion of somebody, and that was a retweet. I'll put it out there. People can decide for themselves.
You're
I don't
the
take
president.
a position.
You're not like someone's crazy uncle who can just retweet whatever.
That was a retweet, and I do a lot of retweets.
He's destroying him.
Will you accept a peaceful transfer of power? You have said repeatedly, the only way we lose this election is if it is rigged. Now, that is simply not true. The fact is either candidate can lose fair and square without ballot fraud. So will you accept the results of the election?
That's the way I want it to be. But when I see thousands of ballots, right, unsolicited ballots being given out by the millions, and thousands of them are dumped in dumpsters.
I don't know if I'm allowed to come on camera, but I think I'm coming.
Trump military ballots from our great military, and they're dumped in garbage cans. When I see thousands of ballots dumped in a garbage can and they happen to have my name on it, I'm not happy about that.
But just those are there is in fact.
You should ask him why his own election integrity committee found nothing.
Mr. President, if you knew COVID-19, as you told Bob Woodward in February.
As what?
As you told Bob Woodward in February, was airborne and deadlier than the flu. Why did you only put in place a travel ban from China and not put in place other measures mitigating the spread of COVID-19, potentially saving tens of thousands of American lives?
Well, I did put it in very early, as you know. He called me xenophobic and racist.
Mr. President, my parents are, as you heard, both frontline healthcare workers, and I've seen the physical and the mental tolls that this pandemic has taken on them firsthand, as well as the exacerbation of coronavirus due to Americans who are not wearing masks or participating in social distancing. After contracting COVID-19 yourself, has your opinion changed on the importance of mask wearing?
No, because I was okay with the masks. I was good with it, but I've heard many different stories on masks. I mean, I had, being president, you have people, they bring meals, they bring this. And I had an instance recently where...
I don't get that, because it's just all of your public health officials, your administration, they're in unison about this. They're all in unison about it. The University of Washington, which is they have a model that your coronavirus task force relies on, says that if everyone wore a mask, you could cut expected deaths in half.
And then 60,000 lives.
Well, what does that mean?
Scott Atkins, if you look at Scott, Dr. Scott, he's from great guy, Stanford. He will tell you
he's not an infectious disease expert.
Oh, I don't know. Look, he's an expert. He's one of the great experts of the world.
And the University of Washington says you would save lives.
University of Washington, then you have other places say different things. You have a lot. Hey, Dr. Fauci said don't wear a mask, right?
At first, but then everybody agreed.
I don't know. But then you have a report coming out 2 days ago that 85% of the people wearing masks.
I looked at that report. It's not about mask wearing. Let's take a break. We're going to get more questions right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what you would call a proper. This is incredible. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lanta. Oh my Allah. NBC redemption arc right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we are watching NBC redeem itself. Trump had no other option but to do this. He had no other option but to use this as an opportunity for himself to make sure that he could pick up in the polls. This is the only opportunity that he had. He took the opportunity with NBC because their distribution is larger than ABC. And he thought to himself, this is a good opportunity. I'm going to go and I'm going to, do a town hall or whatever. And I unironically thought that they would do like a regular town hall, not recognizing that, no, they're actually going to have a real moderator who actually moderates genuinely and who actually tries to, at the very least, live fact check him and whatnot. This is, to some degree, contentious journalism. Not only is this good for American democracy to a certain degree, but it's also really entertaining to watch too. Because Donald Trump has gotten away with so much nonsense for so long. It really makes me feel happy to see him get absolutely cumstered and dumpstered on by perhaps the most powerful Karen of all time. But what do I always say? A coalition without Karens is no coalition. We need Karens on our side. We need Karens to call the manager on racism. And right now, what you are seeing is a very angry, understandably very angry Karen who is eviscerating Donald Trump.
You had originally said you were going to repeal and replace Obamacare. What is your plan now in 2020 to make healthcare costs affordable for Americans like myself?
So we got rid of the individual mandate on Obamacare, which was the worst part of Obamacare, and now you could actually say it's not Obamacare because that's how big it was, where you had to pay a fortune for the privilege of not having to pay for bad health insurance. So, and by doing that, and we will always have, by the way, we're always protecting people with pre-existing conditions, and I can't say that more strongly. But we've been able to bring health care costs way down. Now, I took over Obamacare, got rid of the individual mandate, made it good, but we will protect people with pre-existing conditions. And Savannah, what I want to do, get rid of the terrible Obamacare. I've already done it to a large extent because, as you know, the individual mandate is gone. That was the worst part.
You repealed, but you haven't replaced. Now, you've been in office almost 4 years.
If you got that done, then why do you want to take away pre-existing conditions?
Of Congress,
the only part of Obamacare that's good.
In Republican.
4 years ago, Senate leadership said it was inappropriate to push through a nominee in an election year. Yet they fast-tracked your nominee for the Supreme Court just today. The question I have for you is, what do you say to the voter that thinks it's hypocritical to act in that manner and that they can't trust Republicans' word?
So when I was elected and when a president is elected, they're elected.
I'm a pro-life millennial, and my question for you today is, if Roe v. Wade is overturned in the future,
Mr. President, what will you and your administration do to better prepare our law enforcement officers to work in collaboration with the communities that they serve, and also to protect the lives of innocent Black and Latinos from police brutality and injustice?
And some people don't like it when I say it, but a lot of people agree. I have done more for the African American community than any president, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln. Criminal justice reform, prison reform, historically Black colleges and universities. I got them funded. They were on a year-to-year basis. They could have been put out of business. As soon as our country had a little bad year, they would have said, I'm sorry, we're not going to fund you.
It is different when you say it to a person of color that's not a sycophantic Trump supporter.
Let's go to our next question. We have Paulette Dale. She leans slightly to Biden. She voted for Clinton in 2016. She's registered as a Republican. Paulette, what's your question?
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
I have to say, you have a great smile.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, he does. You're so handsome when you smile.
Damn, she's trying to fuck him, dude. What the
Daughter, so my question for you, Mr. President, is if you are elected to a second term, do you expect to pursue your previous efforts to cut the DACA program?
Yeah.
Why or why not?
And the DACA is somewhat different than Dreamers. You understand that, and you understand it better than anybody probably in this room. Where do you come from, by the way, originally? Where?
My grandparents were from Russia and Poland.
Deported.
Okay, so we've built now over 400 miles of border wall, southern border. Mexico's working very closely with us. We have the strongest border we've ever had.
Good luck for you. It has nothing to do with Dreamers or DACA.
We want people to come into our country, but they have to come in through a merit system, and they have to come in legally. And people are very, very happy with it.
What if they're 2 years old, dipshit?
We got rid of catch and release, which is a disaster. You know, you catch somebody, they could be a murderer, they could be a rapist, and we're supposed to release them into our country. These are the laws that I inherited. We ended that program.
Well, wrong on immigration across the board, but especially wrong on DACA. You can't even be on the program if you have any stain on your reputation. You have to have a stainless criminal record. Okay, time for this shit now.
Fracking was discussed and its possible implications for the waterways from the Commonwealth to the Gulf. Fracking has made the population sick and killed wildlife in southwest Pennsylvania.
This is so funny to like juxtapose with Trump.
And I think we're going to be able to move in a direction where by the year 2035, we'll be able to have...
Guys, you're saying it's boring, but like this is what the American people literally want. Like we are spoiled as little Zoomers and millennials and just like overall edgy people on the internet. We want like we appreciate the content that Trump creates, but like a lot of people unironically want this kind of calm demeanor from a president. They don't like Donald Trump and how disruptive he's been. I mean, even I, as much as I love the content, even I just want the president to say, yeah, no, mask wearing is good, instead of whatever the Donald Trump was saying earlier when he just kept saying, well, I saw a study, 85% of people that were wearing masks, I saw a study, they still got it. It's like, dude, we're 8 months in, dog. The masks are for everyone that might have coronavirus and not know it. The mask is not an automatic shield that protects you from COVID. It's more so to make sure that someone who has COVID that has to be forced to wear a mask that doesn't sneeze on you. Those numbers don't mean anything.
I'm the proud mom of 2 girls, 8 and 10. My youngest daughter is transgender. The Trump administration has attacked the rights of transgender people, banning them from military service, weakening non-discrimination protections, and even removing the word transgender from some government websites.
Damn, Joe Biden looks like he really feels bad for trans people. What the fuck? My man mourns hard as... Dude, look at his face.
I remember I was being dropped off. My dad was a high school educated, well-read man who was a really decent guy, and I was being dropped off to get an application in the center of our city, Wilmington, Delaware. And these 2 men, I'm getting out to get an application to be a lifeguard in the African-American community because there was a big swimming pool complex. And these 2 men, well-dressed, leaned up and hugged one another and kissed one another. I'm getting out of the car at the light, and I turned to my dad. My dad looked at me and said, Joey, it's simple. They love each other. The idea...
The story's fake as by the way. Like, this is... Corn Pop is a real story, but this one is demonstrably fake.
Gender.
Yeah, dude, your Irish dad in like 1943 said, yeah, those 2 guys, they love each other. Joe, like, get the fuck out of here, dude. No one believes. Like, you don't need to. You don't need to make stories like that up, dude. There's just no way I will ever believe that story. Like, I do think that Joe Biden is, of course, for trans rights, like 1,000%. Like, don't get me wrong, but that story is fake as fuck. Biden's dad died in a ship accident in 1912. Little weird, dude. Yeah, many people are saying that the last thing he said was trans rights before he died in a ship accident in 1912. He said, Joe, I just want to say one thing, Joe. Trans rights! And then he passed away. That's what I heard. Real story. From the small amount of coverage that I saw, the limited coverage I saw, Joe did really well. He was boring as fuck. He gave long answers, long and boring, no malarkey. He cut the malarkey, okay? Very good. This is exactly what you want. This is what I might not appreciate as much. This is what the American people want. From what I understand, like, people want both of these candidates to go up against one another, you know? And I think Trump wanted that more than anything because this would have been, I guess, one of the last opportunities he has to like make Biden implode, and he still needs to go on camera.
You're down 10. You're down 10 points.
Yeah, it's not good.
You gotta shoot your shot. And the only reason that this debate is not happening is because Trump blew it up. Like, he did it to himself.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like, it's pretty crazy from blowing up the negotiation talks, which is like the only thing he needs to do on his pathway on his narrow framework, this narrow pathway towards re-election. Blowing up the negotiation talks in a very public way and taking ownership of that was crazy. Getting COVID was obviously insane and pretty funny. Poetic justice. And then refusing to do a virtual town hall and therefore like ruining his only chance of potentially trying to implode Joe Biden's candidacy. It's wild that he did that. I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Right. No. He seemed, correct me if this is crazy. He seemed a little more serene this time. He seemed hopped up on whatever kind of goofballs they're pumping him full of. Roids, probably some speed, and so he wasn't serene in the calm sense, but he seemed almost more spiritually or psychically serene. Like it seemed like he was processing and coming to terms with the possibility that he was going to lose. Like he allowed for that possibility multiple times. He he said that he, isn't gonna, if he loses fair and square, that's what it is. Like, things that he hadn't said before. So it seemed like he was at least having some kind of brush with his own like political mortality in a weird way. Like he was stringing sentences together from beginning to end that actually made sense. Now the thoughts were wild, and they were either lies or fabrications or like wildly off base, but they were coherent. Saying that QAnon, for instance, is an organization that cares a lot about pedophiles. Like that's like a completely insane thing to say, because of the way that it legitimizes what is a bunch of completely dangerous and nutty people.
It's like saying the National Socialist Workers Party.
It's coherent.
It's like saying the National Socialist Workers Party cared really a lot about letting the trains run on time. Like that's what they were known for.
Right. But at least that's a sentence. It's like that's an actual sentence that you can understand from beginning to end. And you weren't getting a lot of that with Trump over the last year or so. You really had to kind of divine what he was trying to say in a very Nancy Pelosi kind of way. Like you hear words coming from her and you kind of think you know what she's trying to say. But if you actually look at the words that she said, you can't actually prove that was what she was trying to say. Like in that Wolf Blitzer interview that she did, like we kind of get what she's trying to say, that she doesn't want to give Trump credit for the stimulus checks. But if you actually like read her words, it's very hard to like point to like a coherent sentence that actually says that. And that's what he used to be, but he kind of freshened up. Maybe they messed with his drug regimen tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. He wasn't as unhinged. I think that's probably because he did something very unique, truly unique to Donald Trump, which is listen to his advisors for once